session presented by Hubilo, please welcome the Executive Creative Director of Hubilo, John Miyoshi, along with the Vice President of Corporate Marketing at Hubilo, Liesl Perez-Leary, in discussion with the Editor-in-Chief of Event MB, Miguel Neves.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session. Delighted to be here. I'm Miguel Neves, as mentioned, the Editor-in-Chief of Event MB, a Skift brand focused on the event industry and innovation in technology in particular. I'm joined in the session by two amazing people that are very focused on event design, John Miyoshi and Liesl Leary Perez. Thank you both for joining us today.
It's great to see you.
Thank you. We're going to be talking about designing future event experiences, which is a topic that we're super interested at Event MB. So I wanted to start with you, Liesl, first. I know that as an event tech platform, Hubilo strives to help clients design better and better event experiences. In fact, in your tagline, you mentioned driving audience engagement and you mentioned event excellence. So my question to you is this concept of event excellence. What does that look like in this context of hybrid and virtual events that we are in?
Yeah, I should mention I am actually a Hubilo client because I actually host all of the events that Hubilo does. That all falls under my remit. And one of the things that I think when we talk about audience engagement and event excellence, let's be honest, event planners are the ones that drive audience engagement. Event planners are the ones who come up with all the great ideas that get people, really excited. I think you saw in our video there were drag queens. That was me. I really like drag queens. I think they did a great job of engaging the audience. But when we talk about event excellence, it's not just about the audience that we're worried about. It's for people like me, event planners that are stressed out, don't know what's going on. I have, 10,000 other things to worry about. And so having, a support in the green room before, during, and after the event helps me actually experience my own event instead of worrying about, the various aspects that I don't necessarily have control over because, we're worried about so many other things on that day. So for me personally, and I think for a lot of the event planners here, anything that makes our lives easier is definitely something that should define, event excellence.
Yeah, I really like that concept that event excellence is not just about the participant experience, but also for the planner experience. It's really important as well.
Exactly.
Great. So I wanted to move on to the concept of engagement. I know on the Event MB side, we do a lot of research, and engagement, particularly for virtual and hybrid events, comes up as really a big challenge for event planners. I wanted to ask you, John, as the person really in charge of the design. In your view, how can design drive engagement or help to drive engagement?
Yeah, great question. So what's really important for design is really to find that right trigger for that easy to use user experience. And even a sense of like accomplishment, that rewarded experience that leaves the users wanting more. So one example that we have is our gamified approach that includes principles of rewarding attendees. And this really creates that desire to compete with each other, win. And there's also analytics to really absorb that user's behavior. So we could test and then learn and innovate the design as we go. For further engagement. And of course, there's other like design principles, such as like hierarchy or like a well-organized grid and design system to really organize your brand and content to drive that engagement.
Excellent. So it sounds like you've really thought a lot about engagement on the platform, which I think is really, really smart. So what about audience expectations? Engagement is definitely one of them, but how do you feel that audience expectations have changed throughout the COVID pandemic? Because that's where we are, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think it's really the needs for options these days. So it's no longer about like attending live or virtual anymore. You just want both options because of the certainty. And the expectation for production quality has really gone off the roof. So we really have to find a way to go beyond like a platform like Zoom and now become products like Netflix or Amazon Primes of the world. These product has like simple UX that is easy to use, plainly engaging to draw in the users, and just unlimited content there too. So it keeps you going.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that a little bit, I mean, nobody ever complains about Netflix fatigue. That is not a thing in our vocabulary, but everybody complains about Zoom fatigue. And so that really points to the importance of doubling down on your content production. So I really think it's important that when people are producing events, especially in a virtual, stage, they really start looking at, sort of broadcasting skill sets and in TV production skill sets, because that is what people are really looking for. That's how you make your event really break through that Zoom fatigue and really, focus on the storytelling and the narrative.
I love that. I think that's a very ambitious territory, and I think that's where we should all aim for. Liesl, I wanted to stay with you for a second and really see, this event, Design the Future, we're talking to a real travel audience, and I think it's important to understand how you see virtual and hybrid events complementing travel.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of travel customers, and one of the ones that I think we actually did a case study on this a couple months ago, Miguel, with Skift, and it was the Our Africa travel show. This is a show that was hosted on the Hubilo platform over 2 weeks. And they had over 321 African exhibitors. They had over 1,000 global buyers who were coming to the show, in order to find these options for their clients. There were over 21,000 meetings that were held on this platform, and over 200,000 networking interactions. And so, when I think about how virtual events, can really complement the travel industry, it's in facilitating these kinds of meetings, and facilitating these types of interactions, so that you can really bring these options for people who are going to be doing revenge travel as soon as they can. So that's just one way, but I'm sure John has his own opinion on this.
Yeah, I think.
John, any thoughts on?
Yeah, I think it's really giving the audience choices and really taste travel again, or exhibitions. Like, I mean, how cool would it be to see like immersive Van Gogh exhibit that's been going on recently through a hybrid event? So stuff like that would be great.
Yep. I love this concept of choice. I think that's really important, and I think that is part of the expectations of the consumers going forward. I think that's really, really important. And also when we think about hybrid events, that's something that we've talked a lot about at Event MB. So I wanted to look a little bit further into the future. We're talking about designing the future. We recently released a big report on the Metaverse, which is a fascinating topic for me, this idea of immersive online environments where we may be meeting and maybe doing lots of different things in the future. I know this is quite far into the future, but what do you expect Hubilo's role to be in creating or being part of the Metaverse?
So it's not that far. I think when people hear about the Metaverse, they immediately think about the Facebook, video that they released where people are playing poker in zero gravity, and that's supposed to be really cool. I'm old, so that's not cool to me. However, that's cool to my kids. That's cool to Gen Z, and that's cool because they have grown up in a world where, it's about exploratory type of engagement, and not so much about what our traditional ideas of event engagement is, which is that someone is speaking in front of this audience, and the audience is rapidly just listening and not doing anything else. That is not the way the audience is going to be in the future. And when I think about the Metaverse, I think about this ability to explore different things and uncover information, rather than just being told what information you should be paying attention to. So Hubilo's role in all of this is really about unlocking this ability to explore information in different ways, whether you're doing it in a staged format like we're doing right now, or you're doing it in rooms, you're doing it through engagement features, contests, you're doing it through networking lounges. So giving people more options to explore an event, rather than just focusing all their attention in one space, is going to be where we're really going to be playing. And also the asynchronous aspect that more people need to be paying attention to when it comes to events. So the Our Africa example I just gave is a perfect example. They just kept it open for 2-3 weeks, let people make the meetings when they wanted to, rather than trying to set an agenda. And it turned out to be very successful as a result. So that's what we think about when we think about the Metaverse, and not so much about 0G poker playing.
So it's great. John, any thoughts from you? I think the idea of designing, and it sounds like you're doing a lot of the things that we may want to do in the metaverse. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's just an opportunity for all of us to really generate some sort of opportunities. And I really think Metaverse is like open doors at this point. That like the possibilities are kind of endless. So we're definitely exploring and finding that right balance between both worlds.
Excellent. Well, John, thank you so much for joining it. And Liesl, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fascinating talking to you about the work that Hubilo is doing. And I look forward to seeing what Hubilo's version of the metaverse looks like. So please do share it with us. March. Okay, March. Excellent. Looking forward to it then.
All right.
Thank you for joining us today. And everybody, continue to enjoy the Design the Future.